Hello my dear friends, I'm Corey. In this video we'll show you how to paint the Dark Reapers. The Dark Reapers are one of the most terrifying kind of aspect warriors of the Aeldari. They embody the aspect of Cain as the Destroyer. Their Phoenix Lord is called Mogan Ra, and he bears the title the Harvester of Soul. This just scream of edgy early 2000 teenager who listened too much metal music. I just can't. While on the battlefield, they take the role of a long-range, heavy weapon support for their Aeldari brethren. They are especially known for being extremely precise on the battlefield, to the point that they almost never miss the target they are pointing at. At least they roll a 1 on a d6 when trying to hit something. In that case, they just miss their target like anybody else, I guess. In this video, I will show you how to paint the Dark Reaper with their most iconic color scheme, which is a completely black armor with a ivory white face mask and a magenta colored Reaper launcher. This is also going to be a very special kind of tutorial because I'm going to use the 3rd edition Dark Reaper of Warhammer 40k, which are made out of metal. Which means they're not made of finecast. They're not made of finecast. They're not made of finecast! Now, I know that Dark Reaper have received a new plastic kit recently, so this is technically a no problem, but still, they're not made of finecast! But don't worry, even though these models are pretty old, the color scheme is basically the same as the newer model that you can buy on the Warhammer website. So don't worry about that. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering how to use the Dark Reapers on the tabletop and how they perform on the battlefield in a more competitive way, I always suggest go check out Proxy Hammer's video when he rates all of the aspect warriors for the Aeldari. I will leave the link down in the description of this video, so go check it out and say hi to him. Well, hi Proxy, I know that you're watching this video right now, so hope you like it. Alright my friend, let's go on the hobby table. I have listed all of the paint that I've used in this video down in the description, and let me show you how to paint the Aeldari aspect warriors called the Dark Reapers. Typically, Dark Reaper's armor is almost completely black, except for the faceplate of the helm, which is bone colored. Due to the prevalence of black color and dark tones, I decided to use a black primer. This way, I managed to save some time by priming and base coating the model simultaneously. Don't forget to check the model after you primed it to see if you have missed any spots. In that case, just touch them up with some black paint. I tend to use this method on almost every model, especially when I have to paint a large number of them for an army. Now, the first thing to do after priming is to dry brush the model with a very dark blue paint. This way, you'll accentuate all the race part of the model, making them more evident. This will be helpful in a couple of ways. First of all, it will simulate the light hitting the model, giving it a more three-dimensional look, making it appear more realistic. Second, it will help you identify all the little parts and details of the models that need to be painted with a different color. Sometimes it might be difficult to identify tiny details on a completely pitch-black model. The weapons of the Dark Reapers, the Reaper launchers, are the most eye-catching part of the model. Generally, these weapons are painted in a dark magenta color, but other shrines of the Dark Reapers have their Reaper launchers painted in different colors like green, blue, or completely black, like the armor. However, I opted for the classical magenta ones because I really like this color. Regardless of which color you choose, just base coat the Reaper launcher with it in a couple of thin coats. The next step is to also base coat the Reaper mask of the helm. Since these masks are supposed to resemble bones, specifically skulls, I suggest starting by using a beige color to paint them. This way, we'll have a nice base where to build our bone colors on the mask. There might be other parts of the armor that are supposed to be painted the same way, so check if you see other tiny skulls scattered around the model and paint them accordingly. Oh, and in case you make any mistakes, don't worry, just repaint those parts with the correct color and nobody will notice once you're finished. The other parts that need to be painted are the metallic, specifically gold parts. The most common gold parts on the Dark Reapers are the Spirit Stone slots on the chest, weapon, and hung on the side of the model. You could also paint some skull parts in gold if you want. Speaking of Spirit Stone, I decided to paint the ones on my models in a dark blue color to make them contrast more with the magenta Reaper launcher. I've also painted the eye lenses of the Reaper mask, but in red, to give them a more spooky look. Besides, nothing is more terrifying than a red-eye skeleton, am I right? But we need to recreate a three-dimensional look on the mask and the Reaper launcher by accentuating the details and also darkening down the recesses of the model. First of all, I decided to highlight the Reaper launcher. To do that, I mixed a little bit of white with the original color I've used to base coat it, and then I painted some thin line along the edges of the launcher. Kinda like the dry brushing technique I used at the beginning, but more carefully. Next was to darken down some parts of the model to add more contrast to the overall look. I use a sepia wash on both the bones and the gold parts of the model and a red wash to the Reaper launcher. As an alternative to the red wash, you could also use a purple one to darken down the Reaper launcher even further if you prefer it this way. Remember to thin down your wash a little bit to avoid stains of paint where you use this technique. Now we need to re-bright up some washed part. The easiest ones are the gold parts. Just take your original gold color, thin it down a bit, and repaint the most raised part of the gold details. For the bone parts, you'll need to be more careful. You can do this in a couple of ways. Very gently dry brush the part with a small makeup brush, being careful not to paint over the other details of the model, or you could do what I'm doing here. By using a very thin down bright ivory color, I'm slowly building layer by layer the bone color of the Reaper mask, being very careful not to paint over the deepest recesses of this part. After I was satisfied with this color, I did the same thing, but with an almost white color and only on the sharpest part of the mask. It will take you some time, but I assure you that it will be worth your patience. To add a final touch to the model, I painted a small dot of bright blue and bright red over the Spirit Stone and the eye lenses. Then added an even smaller white dot on the edges of this part, making them look even more real and cool. The last thing to do is to paint the base of the model. Mine are painted in blue and violet, but you can paint your whatever color you want. Just be sure to paint the bases of your entire army all the same. And now, after a coat of satin varnish, our Dark Reapers are ready to annihilate any enemy unlucky enough to be their next target on the battlefield. So my dear friends, thank you very much. I hope you liked this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Dark Reapers. If you have already played with them, if you have already painted them, if you have already painted them, how have you painted those Dark Reapers? And if the paint scheme or the paint method is different from mine, let me know down in the comments. And also leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. in the future. Also, go down in the description, because there I have listed all of the paints that I have used in this tutorial, and also the proxy hammer video in which he ranks all of the aspect warriors for the Aeldari, and there are also a couple of links. One for my Instagram and the other for my Patreon if you want to support me, which you don't have to. Alright, this is truly the end of this tutorial. I'm Corey, and I hope to see you the next time. Ciao ciao!